Hi, my name is Katherine Collins, and for my Sales Technique video project, I am going to be discussing sales team training and motivation. The content that I will be going over today includes the article 8 Steps to Build Teams That Last by Lama Atea and the book called Companies Don't Succeed, People Do by Bob Nelson. Before we begin with the content, it's important to discuss what sales training actually is. Sales training is defined as involves the personal development of skills and techniques related to creating and exploring new sales opportunities, as well as closing sales for an organization. For this project, it is also important to discuss what motivation is. Motivation is defined as the reason or reasons one has for acting or behaving in a particular way. I have given an example below of Disney's movie Princess and the Frog, how Princess Tiana's main motivation for working so hard was saving money in order for her to buy her dream restaurant. Referring back to my first resource, I am also going to be talking about the 8 steps to build a successful team. The first step in building a successful team is 1. Manageable size, number 2. Equitable work division, number 3. Balanced leadership, number 4. Open communication, number 5. Quick conflict resolution, number 6. Efficient use of resources, number 7. Ability to deliver, and number 8. Team satisfaction. Beginning with the first step of creating a successful team, I am going to discuss the first step, which is having a manageable size. First and foremost, it's important to know that there is no perfect size for one set team. Team numbers can actually depend on the nature of the project, company size, and the required workforce. I listed an example below illustrating two different teams. I compared the 3-person team of the NASA aircraft Apollo 11 compared to a 1-person team school bus. A mission to space requires more members to control a spacecraft compared to a school bus that is taking students to school. Moving forward to the second step of creating a successful team, I'm going to be discussing equitable work division. It is important to divide a workload amongst the team evenly to avoid conflict. We want to make sure equal jobs, small and large, are given to each person in a group to make sure a process flows easily. If equitable work division is not divided amongst people equally, conflicts can arise and problems will not be solved. Moving forward with the third step of creating a team is the importance of a balanced leadership. Leadership can be defined as the action of leading a group of people or an organization. It is important that a leader gives guidance, clarity, and directions in order to run an efficient team. Leaders who have too much power and do not negotiate or listen to other members can have deficient teams. Below, I gave an example of Disney's movie A Bug's Life and stated how Hopper was a bad example of a leader. In the movie, Hopper makes all of the decisions for his team, bullies and harasses other characters, and even makes his own team scared of him. In life, demonstrating these kinds of behaviors can lead to the downfall of a company and can even actually get team members in legal trouble. Another important step to creating a successful team is open communication. Without communication, there will be no momentum for a team, and a workforce can actually become very unorganized. It is vital that companies have communication because it encourages every team member to engage and share their input without being shunned or subjectively criticized. Some examples of communication are attending meetings, making phone calls, and sending emails. Outside of a workforce, I personally think open communication is important for families and friends to use in order to build strong relationships. Another step for team building is the ability of quick conflict resolution. In other words, this is quick problem solving. Conflicts are not always a bad thing. They can actually help discover new points of view, bring teams together, and conduct more information through analysis. It's important that conflicts are dealt with as a learning process, and they should readdress company goals as a reminder to workers to stay positive and handle conflicts quickly. It's important to also address problems earlier rather than waiting until conflicts add up to a larger problem and become unfixable or detrimental to a company. The sixth step in building a successful team is the efficient use of available resources. When it comes to funding, companies usually have a limited budget to spend on different items. A limited budget can be difficult for companies to work with, so it can be helpful for teams to create a plan that involves a limited budget. There are also different types of resources companies can use. The three types of resources are human, natural, and capital. If teams have an efficient use of time and have similar limited resources, this can lead to a more impressive success story in comparison to those companies who have unlimited budgets. The next step is the ability to deliver. In addition to how a team operates and internally handles their daily tasks, delivering the required outcome within the given resources, budget, and time frame is one of the main indicators of team success. Successful deliveries include achieving assignment deadlines, arriving on time for meetings, and resolving conflicts. For me personally, I handle deliveries and making sure I'm on time by making checklists, putting specific dates like the picture below on calendars, and making alarms on my phone or alarm clock to make sure that I am on time for any meeting or class. The last step to building a successful team is team satisfaction. Working together successfully is more likely to have satisfied and productive members. Team success can be measured by gauging the team satisfaction level. Today, around 2/3 of professionals are happy with their teams at work. 90% of professionals state that teams are a very important part of their satisfaction at work. And so, to me, I think that team satisfaction is one of the most important skills that team members should have. If team satisfaction is not met, we could see arguments on the regular being brought up about any task being performed, work would not be done, and conflicts on those who is in charge would also be brought up. And if all of these arguments were to happen, it would result in an overall disaster of a company. An example of bad leadership and zero team satisfaction can be from the movie Lord of the Flies. Moving on to my second resource for my sales technique video project, I'm going to discuss the contents of the book called Companies Don't Succeed, People Do by Dr. Bob Nelson. For background information about Dr. Nelson, he is the president of Nelson Motivation Incorporated and specializes in helping organizations improve their management practices, programs, and systems. Dr. Bob Nelson is also considered to be one of the world's leading experts on employee motivation, performance engagement, and recognition and awards. So, for the book description, Companies Succeed, People Do states how to create a path to success by using an efficient and collaborative team. Bob Nelson provides readers with life lessons, stories, and with team building tips and helpful quotes to motivate individuals to begin their own successful teams. So for the purpose of sales team training, I thought I would share some of my own personal team experience. So in 2015, I worked for the retail company Kohl's, and every day we went over team motivation to ensure that our environment was positive and that associates would work well with customers during the day. So some of those team motivation skills that we did every day include morning and evening shifts when we went over tasks for the day, whether it was making sure everyone was assigned certain aisles, making sure people followed all their instructions for the day. We also earned pins for lanyards, kind of like when you go to Disney, if you're a Disney fan like me, and you would earn pins or collect them for different things that you did. And we also had parties every now and then for sales that were met for each month. And the nice thing about our managers is that they were labeled as leaders, not bosses. And our managers were in charge of scheduling us for different positions during the week. And they were the ones that provided us with pins and kept the overall team together as a single unit. So now I'm going to wrap up the video by talking about a few things to go over. So we know now that team training requires multiple steps in order to achieve group success. Leaders should be positive and provide assistance to group members. We should use any available resources and be able to work with a budget. It's important to encourage and work equally as a team, and it is important to solve problems quickly and effectively.